Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. We are continuing this 9-game series between Soma and Bisu. Right now, Bisu is leading 2-0. It's been a pretty awesome series so far. Really wide variety of plays. We are going to be visiting Polypoid once again for this game. And honestly, not really sure what we're going to end up seeing. I think that this is like a perfect match. I'm hoping that it ends up like 4-5 one way or the other. Let me know down below who you think is actually going to end up taking this. The legend that is Bisu or the younger blood Soma, who has just been so on top of things and honestly has better results than Bisu in ASL. Just overall. Period. That's it. Like Soma has done better in ASL than Bisu. Not that Bisu has done poorly in ASL, but Bisu does not have that championships. He does not even have that finals yet. Honestly, I think if Bisu gets to a finals, he'll just win at that point. Like, it's hard to imagine many players out-clutching Bisu in that situation. But getting there, I think, is going to be the hard part for him. Whereas Soma has had a couple shots. And unfortunately, of course, as I mentioned previously, going to be in the military for a bit. So no ASL championship, at least in the next year and a half for him. And probably a bit longer. Either way, Bisu here, he did scout, what's going on, that this is a pull first. He finds Soma right away, and he's just getting ready, checking the pool timing there to see if he can get away with that Nexus first. Probe coming down to annoy that drone a little bit. We'll see if Soma just goes to his third base or not, or if he wants to fight. Either way, it's going to take a minute for this game to really pick up. So I would like to take this opportunity to ask you to please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that like button, leave comments and whatnot. I've been trying to answer. We got like a ton of questions, in those comments. I've been going through trying to answer them, trying to help people out. And yeah, it's my pleasure. Love to check it and see all the activity. So thank you very much, guys. But anyways, looking at this game, he will go for a photon cannon first. It's actually only 2 lings, so I do feel like Soma got the better end of this. Yeah, right? Because I think what happened here was the probe chased the drone. I wasn't paying 100% attention, but maybe he thought that there was a possibility lings came out. But honestly, like, this happens a lot with these builds, like overpool and whatnot, where they get the pool early and then they only make 2 lings. And they don't even send them. They just go after the probe. But maybe because the Overlord found him so quickly, he knew if he didn't start the cannon, the lings would go across the map. The cannon build time is probably longer than lings running from here to here, right? Yeah, that's very likely what it is. I don't actually have the exact timing of that. That's actually something I feel like I should go figure out. But yeah, that's actually stuff like that. Those are like the most important things when you play a race. You have to know how long it takes. It's like, okay, where is the Zealot? Do I have enough time to build a bunker? Or where are the Marines and Medics? Do I have enough time to build sunken colonies, right? That's one of the primary things that balances maps. In fact, I use this example a lot in Terran versus Zerg, right? So Zerg, there's almost always a spot for an Overlord to sit, to watch walls, okay? So generally, an Overlord will be sitting right about here. Maps are balanced in StarCraft 1 for Terran vs. Zerg. If you see the bio leave the choke, like if you see the Marines moving here, and you're here, and you build Sunkens, they will finish before the Marines walk here. That is literally what causes balance. The last time I remember that not being the case, it was on Python with the 3 o'clock for 6 o'clock position. It was too short. And literally every game there, you would just kill Zerg because they had to go mass lings because they couldn't build the Sunkens in time. So it's like, do you preemptively make Sunkens? But yeah, any time they, like, this is basically the shortest that you will see between 2 bases in StarCraft 1 because of that. Now, the probe gets up here and sees that it's actually 3-hatch Hydralisk. So, this is a build that we saw a ton if you were watching the Rain vs. Zealot series, which was absolutely fantastic. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go do so. But yeah, a 3-hatch Hydra build. Now, just because it's going 3-hatch Hydra doesn't mean it's necessarily an all-in or anything. You can see Bisu's cannon placement, his initial cannon here. This gives us an idea of what he's going to do. He's very likely to give up the wall. This is spaced back from the forge. So I would even go as far as to say I don't think +1 is going to finish. He's very likely to continue cannons on that line because it's really hard for Hydras to get up and attack them. In the meantime, we have a couple Zealots infiltrating the third base location. 5 drones here. He can't be losing these. Oh my god, he lost a drone already. Very painful. Bisu putting the pressure on right now. Runs that Zealot back. Runs in between the mineral patches. And yeah, that's going to be annoying. But as the Hydras come out, obviously you have to fight or the Hydras will just gun them down. By the way, I did see a comment where people said, oh, this is Protoss favor to have spaces in between the mineral patches. You can't put all the mineral patches next to each other or the mining is terrible. So just so you know, like every map has to have mineral patches that look like that or it becomes incredibly bad. Okay, so, and that would actually be very imbalanced for Zerg because they have less workers overall. Anyways, the Zealot runs back towards this wall. Oh, he actually did move these forward. So that actually helps to save the buildings for a lot longer if you have them forward as opposed to this line here. Because that it's like the Hydras have to have range basically to hit some of these buildings. This one is going to be pretty impossible to hit. Like I think he has a little area in here probably where like 4 Hydras can hit without getting hit by this cannon. But yeah, you will be able to take out this gateway. Bisu preparing quite a bit for this. He does have that Stargate with a couple Corsairs out, seeing what they can get done. Only 1 kill so far for those Corsairs. And now drones are coming out for Soma. So this is something we've talked about and seen a lot of times, where you can go for the 3-hatch Hydra, but just put pressure on like this where you're forcing cannons and then go drones behind it. Now, that's why the Corsairs are still out and still scouting. I think a lot of people probably look at it and say, oh, why even make Corsairs against the Hydra Rush? Well, you need to know when they're switching into drones. Now, you can see here, Soma's trying to get maximal damage onto this forge. He only gets 3 Hydras hitting it. Like I mentioned, these angles, it gets really, really tricky trying to get a lot of Hydras to attack there. But he's not going to be able to prevent that +1. Again, if the cannons had been in this line, that would have been a very easy thing to prevent. But Bisu actually gets his +1, so that's kind of nice. He's going to be very happy about that. More gates are finishing up. He has that Citadel coming as well with the leg upgrade for those Zealots, so he can start moving about the map with them some. More macro hatches going up. There's the evolution chamber. So we're going up to 6-hatch Hydra here for Soma. Not a big surprise. Something that we do generally see. I love the minimal amount of cannons that we see from Bisu, by the way. 5 is like the absolute minimum that you could really see in a situation like this. And that's allowed him to get his gateways up a bit quicker, his tech up a bit quicker. He has Psystorm on the way right now. Overlord speed is being made by Soma, getting ready just in case he has to counter those Dark Templars at all. And who knows? We'll see if there are some drops a little bit later on. But Bisu really getting his macro going, as you can see. Right? He's got the 4 gates, 2 more coming. So going up to 6, and this is something we've seen from Bisu a lot lately, especially on a map like Polypoid with this very defendable third base, those 6 gates into the very, very fast third. We'll see if he actually does that this time. Legs just now finishing up, so Soma gonna just have to run home with these Hydras. Can't try to kite anymore at this point. The Corsairs leading the path, seeing what's up here that they can maybe take out as well. Getting split to continue that scouting. Overlord speed not quite done yet, and as he will pull back into this defensive area, he does have enough Hydras. You don't really want to dive on that, even though there's not a lot of SimCity here. It seems like just number-wise, Bisu looks at it and says, "No, I don't really want to engage into that right now." Spire is started up, so we might see a switch into Mutalisks later on. Already we have Dragoon range on the way for Bisu. Robotics coming up as well. Of course, Corsairs still kind of poking in here and there, seeing what they can find. Zealots of Bisu get pulled back. Let's take a look. I just want to double check over here. He's still just on those 6 gates. Has High Templars coming out. And yeah, I mean, with Dragoon production on the way, it's kind of interesting watching him do this on the 6 gateways. He actually has a lot of Zealots right now. And the Hydras are kind of roaming about, but it doesn't look like Soma wants to attack, honestly. Like, he's moving out of his base so that he controls the map a bit more and has more options. But I don't think we're going to see a full attack. This is a lot of Zealots, but of course, melee units over time, as you get bigger and bigger balls of range units, they do have a harder time. Of course, that's where the Psystorm comes in, where if you have the critical mass of Hydras and they're too grouped up, which would destroy Zealots, they'll get destroyed by those Psystorms. Now, 2 more gates are being made, so he is going up to the 8 gates before that third Nexus we were talking about. Dragoons being made, some cannons being added on as well. The Corsair continues to patrol about, still just sees Hydras being made. That's kind of the important thing he's looking for. If anything else starts to pop out, that's where he needs to be careful. Now, Soma starts to come up. He has 1 group on that side, 2 or 3 groups on the other side. A decent storm goes down. A decent storm there as well. Pulls back. Doesn't have this photon cannon ready yet. That actually does make kind of a big difference. Dragoons coming out from the other side. This group of Hydras would just micro forward and pick that off so quickly. The Zealot count is just enough to fight these Hydras, and the Hydras don't think so for a moment, but do end up turning around. More Hydras have rallied up, but it looks like Bisu had, like, pretty much exactly how much he needed there. That's what that looks like, is he had, like, exactly how much he needed. By the way, the High Templar count, a little bit low right now. He is making some more. He has some observers out. He's added some photon cannons, which, again, these photon cannons, very important on the high ground. They have great range. They really support the Zealot and Dragoon defense. The 1 High Templar with 2 storms coming down, getting into position, does not throw that storm down. The Hydras move out of position a little bit too quickly. 4th base being taken. Don't forget, right, on Polypoid, if we zoom out for a moment, as you can see, this area defends pretty much everything. If you have some sunk-ins, you have lurkers spread out here, this is incredibly hard to break. Shooting uphill for Dragoons is no good. So it pretty much defends all of your bases, right? It's a very, very strong defensive position, especially like this. You don't really have any opportunity to run around. You get flanked and pushed against the wall anyways. But Bisu's going to start walking up. It's 5 lurkers so far. 2 more are about to hatch. And he's got this small amount of Dragoons. Now, what he might do is start poking and use Psystorms to deal the majority of the damage to these lurkers. But even if he does that, how many lurkers can he really kill? How many Psystorms are you willing to spend to kill 1 lurker per Psystorm? Now, this spread of lurkers is pretty wide, right? So only 1 lurker was attacking his Dragoons for a moment. As soon as the Hydras came forward, Bisu pulled back. But this is a very important position for Bisu. If he can maintain pressure here and make Soma sit here defensively, that's what's allowing him to get a bunch of cannons up and expand to this base, which is incredibly important. When you have a mineral-only 3rd base, you must utilize that to leapfrog onto your 4th base quickly as Protoss in this matchup. You need that additional gas. It is very, very important, and that is exactly what he's doing right now. Soma, by the way, expands to the bottom right, has a little group of Hydras there, so it can't be easily attacked. But that is a very important base as well. As you take another main base, that really opens you up into getting into your Hive tech at that point, which we do see happening. Hive is on the way, Zergling speed. He's getting another evolution chamber. He's getting ready for those crackling upgrades that are so important. Looks like we have a High Templar die off here. This is a huge army for Bisu. Look at this, 135 to 173. A huge army advantage right now for Bisu. Moves forward. He only has 2 storms in this army, though, so that does make me a little bit nervous. That's an insane storm. That was crazy, that storm. Now, an egg on the ramp, but it's not perfectly placed, so he will be able to bust up into there. Still has another storm here. Needs to utilize it. And it's an okay storm. Zealots come to the front here, but a lot of Hydras and Lurkers coming down. These Dragoons going to be in trouble. Are they going to go up the ramp? Yeah, I think so. I think that is the right play, but the drones come down, and they actually screw up the pathing of the Dragoons pretty heavily there. So we see 5-6 Dragoons die on this low ground before they can even get up. Definitely damage is being dealt up in this 3rd base, and in fact, the Zealots get on top of these. He does have those 3 observers, so no big issue. He can clear these out pretty well. And he is reducing that number quite a bit. He's going after this evolution chamber. I would love to see him be able to pick that off, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. Will he target it down? Yeah, he has these right-clicked on there. So he is going to prevent that +2 ranged attack, which is a pretty damn good denial right there by Bisu. Now let's take a look at this game. We have 1 Zealot that's snuck in down here. No real defense. But he shouldn't be able to deal too much damage, maybe 1 to 2 drones. We have a 5th base starting up for Bisu, which is pretty wild. Obviously, he has this mineral base, and now finally getting his probes up and transferred to this 4th base location that has a lot of cannons. But you have to look at the tech that Soma has going on, because even though Bisu has done a lot of great things, gotten all these expansions up, he's run around, picked off a lot of lurkers, dealt some damage, prevented upgrades, he doesn't have the really high quality standing army back up quite yet. He's only at 155 supply, right? So he's going to want to get that a little bit higher. But if you look at this, oh, wow, the fourth Evo chamber to to cheer on its brothers there. No, but here's the thing. We might see the Defiler Mound pop up pretty soon, and obviously Dark Swarm going to destroy a base like this. But honestly, just the Adrenal upgrade for Zerglings. If you have an Adrenal upgrade, if you send like 12 Adrenalings up here, you'll probably kill all of this, realistically. Maybe just slightly more, like 16. But that's where bases can just be snuffed out in the blink of an eye. So he may want to do something like throw a couple Zealots on this ramp, throw a High Templar up here, something like that. Now, we have Soma swarming up here. Lurkers added in. Lots of Hydras. You see more and more Lings coming out. Lings are a part of the big endgame for Zerg as they get that Adrenal upgrade, really. I mean, melee attack gives plus 20% damage. Adrenal, I believe, is plus 20% attack speed. So Zerglings with upgrades scale better than basically everything other than, I don't know, siege tanks and carriers. Yeah, siege tank carriers and Zerglings are unbelievable scaling for attack upgrades. Unbelievably good scaling. All three of them just become so deadly as they gain more attack upgrades. Okay, so this little group of Hydras coming up. Looks like it just wants to harass a little bit, maybe pick off High Templars. I think that was the idea, but it doesn't look like there's any around for him to get. About 5 High Templars in this army. He does not have Kadarian Amulet yet. That's kind of surprising. Okay, it is on the way right now, so that'll allow each High Templar to go up to 3 storms instead of 2. Very, very good upgrade. Bisu now maxed out, roaming across the map. Look at this, setting up a very defensive location here is Soma, but just the Lurkers alone will not be enough. A lot of units still rallying down here for Bisu. The Zealots go up to start tanking some of the damage. The Dragoons dealing huge amounts of damage here to Soma. Great Psy Storms going off. Consume is not yet done, and we don't have a Defiler there. So this is a problem. If he can get Dark Swarm down, a big part of this army stops attacking. So that's going to be an issue there for Bisu. But Bisu is trying to break through just before then, and it looks like he might be able to. Look at that. Double Lurker going down. Some good storms overall. The Zealots doing a fantastic job with that tanking. 2-1-2 upgrades. Absolutely insane against the just plus 0-1 Lings. Storm goes down on those Hydras on the high ground, and finally a Defiler is out. We should be seeing that Dark Swarm come up pretty soon here. He starts the Plague upgrade as well, an incredibly strong upgrade for Zerg in this matchup, but still, we just don't have a Dark Swarm coming out. Not that it's going to do enough, I think, between the Archons and Zealots and High Templars that are in here. And in fact, Bisu is dealing so much damage while having 5 bases. It is a real issue. Throws the Dark Storm down a bit late. All of the Lurkers under there do end up dying to a Psy Storm, and the Dragoons are going to be enough. GG is called, and Bisu going to extend his lead 3-1. He truly is the best macro PvZ player in the world. Guys, thanks for watching.